From the national anthem to the bottom of the ninth. Amen. Slam D, Ego. Slam D, Ego. Slam D, Ego. Slam D, hey. You already know what's up. What's that? Another home run. We should know that the job ain't done till we hold that trophy up. Hey.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Talking Friars here on this Sunday night. Padres, they just win that Sunday night baseball game over the Texas Rangers to win the series, a 4-1 victory. Had multiple guys coming through. Obviously, there was a lot of talk going in, like maybe this could be a great day for Manny. His birthday, couple hits away from 2000. That ended up not happening. He ended up not getting a hit, going 0 for 4. But there definitely were other guys that came through. Tatis went 2 for 3. Arise went 2 for 4. Sheets got a hit. Bogey scored a run. He had some wheels on that run that he scored, sliding in there. And then Jake Cronenworth, who there was obviously a lot of criticism with the contract and stuff, but it seems like that criticism, at least on social media, has gotten a little bit quieter, which is good to see because he's a good baseball player. But yeah, I will get to the chat if you're live on YouTube here. I am live. I do see that I'm live. So, and anyone that's kind of just popping in here, it's the new streaming software that I'm using here, so I'm still trying to get used to it. But yeah, my plan is after games that I'm watching, do a reaction recorded, and then after every series go live. And I do the recordings partly because there are some people that miss the live shows. For some reason, it doesn't show up on their YouTube subscriptions or something, but they see the videos. So as long as they know the schedule, hopefully they'll be able to see this live stream. But yeah, there's 3 All Stars the Padres have. That was announced today. I already won, obviously, with Manny, but then there are a couple more, so we'll get to that. But yeah, I just want to hit on the final game of this 3-game set. You can hit on all 3 games as well. But today in this Sunday night game, a win 4-1. Padres, they had David Morgan start this game, which I was not expecting. I was expecting it to be Kyle Hart, but they kind of just did a hey, David Morgan probably a better matchup. Let's not have Kyle Hart face the top of that Rangers order as many times as he would if he was starting the game. So we'll go with David Morgan. That top of the first inning ended up being forever. The bottom of the first, by the way, was also a while. Jack Leiter only pitched in the 4th inning. Kyle Hart did his job, though, when he came in after David Morgan. He ends up pitching 3 2/3, doesn't give up any runs, doesn't walk anyone. And maybe this is going to be like, all right, he was called up originally, had some good moments, had some struggles, went down, less of a spotlight, obviously, on him when he's pitching in El Paso compared to pitching for the Padres in the big leagues. Goes down, probably works on some stuff. I wonder what's going to be said post game about maybe something he worked on, or was it a mental thing that he worked on as well? But yeah, that was good to see Kyle Hart, come back up and have success tonight. I know it's 1 game, but that was really good to see. And then this bullpen, that's one of the best bullpens in baseball. Um, there's people talking about trading Robert Suarez and does it make sense? Some of his rocky outings. Well, he comes in today in that 9th inning, goes an inning, doesn't give up any runs. Morahone, Adam, and Estrada before him. Those are your big 4. Like the best scenario, right? Postseason time, you can get a good start. You want it to be more than 5 innings, but even if it is 5 innings and you can go Estrada, Adam, Morahone, and Suarez, and boom, like that's pretty nasty. Estrada, like I'm confident in him too, but the back 3 with Adam with a 1.61 ERA, named an All-Star today, that was awesome. Morahone should be an All-Star, and I won't be surprised if he is an All-Star once some of these starters end up not being able to pitch. Maybe they end up picking other National League starting pitchers, not relievers, but Morahone's been really good. Got some easy flyouts tonight, and then Suarez there in the 9th. So, like this was like the textbook game bullpen wise that you would want. Obviously, it's not going to happen like that all the time, but Padres offense, you score some runs, you get a lead, and then the pitching staff is pretty dominant um, the rest of the way. So just I thought a solid baseball game today from the Padres, a solid win. If you want to go through all the scoring, Rangers did take that 1-0 lead. It was a long top of the first for them to get one run there. So that, based on how long it was, you could probably say, well, that was actually a success there. And then Arise comes through in the third to tie it up 1-1. Tatis doubles down the line in the fourth. I don't really know why Maldonado got sent there. I guess, I mean, it was a really close play at the plate, and Maldonado's really slow. But if you go look at that angle from the left field corner going into home plate, Semien, who was backing up the cutoff, he gets the ball and turns, and Maldonado's like halfway, maybe even more than halfway to home plate. Like every other runner in baseball would have made it, and he ends up getting thrown out. There was the talk about the catcher's interference, right? Like Maldonado had to go around, couldn't go straight to home plate. But that one for me, like the throw was taking him there anyway. I don't think there was that strong of a case there for interference there. Um, but thankfully the Padres did tack on a couple more runs, and that didn't end up costing them the game. And obviously had dominant pitching there as well, like I just hit on. Maldonado though did come through with that chopper, through the 5-5 hole to make it 3-1, and then Crony with an RBI single to make it 4-1. Bryce Johnson scoring there. I think Crony has the fourth highest OPS among like regular starting players in the lineup right now. So yeah, I mean that's a when guys are on, right, and Cronenworth is still like some sort of threat there offensively. That's not a bad seven hitter to have, which is where he was hitting tonight. Sometimes he's hitting eighth in the order, but having those other like Jackson Merrill 0 for 5 tonight, and there was that fly out. I think it was bases loaded, could have really opened up the game. The fly out to center, I thought, man, that might get out. Now my TV paused, so I didn't see. It wasn't like it buffered and then I saw the fly out, but it was like, oh, I thought maybe he got a hold of that one and didn't. But um, you hope that he'll work his way through this and feel good going into the All Star break with the D backs and the Phillies coming up at home, no days off till the All Star break, and he can get a break. Because remember last year, he didn't get that break because he was an All Star. This year, not so. Use that break to your advantage because you got a long road trip coming out of the All Star break. So, yeah. Let's see what the chat has to say here. Good win for Kyle Hart. Yeah, like what those stories, right? You got those players fighting for a spot in spring training. They're able to get onto the roster and had some success, but then you get sent down, and just I wonder where he was at mentally there when he gets sent down, and he probably knew he was going to get sent down at some point. You're not going to be when you're Kyle Hart, you're not going to be in the big leagues the entire season. And what did he work on there? Where was his headspace? And how was he able to get through those days? You don't know when you're going to get called back up. And, you would think because if you're Kyle Hart, they're going to call you back up at some point. But there are other options that they went to before him. So, yeah, just kind of wondering, when that's going to come. And it did come and, be ready for the opportunity. So that was cool to see. Someone says Merrill's the next Jackie. I think he's trying to say Jackie Bradley Jr. No, come on. Jackie Bradley was, or the next Kiermaier. No, Merrill will be better than those guys. And Kiermaier was solid, like year in year out defensively. Merrill will be better offensively than that. Let's see. You know what was funny? Just a random thought that popped in my head. So the broadcast tonight, Sunday Night Baseball, which it was interesting because usually there's one Sunday night game and it's Carl Ravage and Eduardo Perez and David Cohn and Buster Olney. But there were two. They were in Chicago for Cubs Cardinals. That was at like 3 o'clock, but that game didn't start till after 4 o'clock, I think. It was delayed. So the Padres game didn't start on ESPN. It starts on ESPN2. And then it gets flipped over to ESPN. But they were showing coming out of a break, I think. It was some of the jerseys, the jersey history for the Padres. it's a random thought, obviously. Like this is totally not related to the actual game and what I was saying, but it just popped in my head. Um, who was the play by play? Roxy Bernstein, I think, and he was talking about some of the he was like saying some of the legends, wearing the Padres jerseys, and it was like good players. It was Tony was in there, obviously. I want to say maybe Gary Sheffield was in there. I know Ricky was in there. Um, Tatis was the brown and gold one from 2020 on. But before that, it was it was a bunch of good players, great players, and then it was Solarte and Manny Margot. It was just funny. I was like, wait, what? One of these things is not like the other here, and maybe that's disrespect to those guys. Solarte was a great guy to follow as a Padres fan when we stunk. And Margot made some really cool plays too. And I'll be the first to admit, I was hyped when he came up to the big leagues. And him and Aswahe and Renfro. But no, I would not be putting them. I know they were just showcasing the jersey. They could have done that with like at least Will Myers, right? Manny wore that jersey in 2019. They could at least done that, but they picked Solarte and Manny Margot, which was funny. But I think Padres fans probably got a good laugh out of that during that game tonight. But anyway, the other games in this series, Padres lost yesterday 7-4. I did give my reactions already to these games, so if you missed those, you can check those out on YouTube or on the podcast platforms. But yeah, yesterday the Higgy show, Kolek gets sent down obviously, and Schilt was talking about before the game today, like sort of a reset rest for Kolek mid-season. It's a long season. Give him this opportunity, which makes sense. But also at the same time, he did make mistakes last night. Too many pitches that were really good pitches to hit by the Rangers for the Rangers. I mean, first pitch of the game. I don't know if he was trying to get ahead in the count or what, but Josh Smith homers. Higgy had a homer in that game. Um, Sometimes it was not great luck for the Padres pitching staff. Like the run and hit. I know it's hit and run, but it's really run and hit. Where runner goes, Iglesias is shaded over towards second base, and Higgy hits the whole grounder. Like that's an easy ground ball, but sometimes that happens. That's good execution by the Rangers. And then like Xander had line drives to left field, and the left fielder caught both of them sliding. Wyatt Langford, I think it was like deja vu, first inning and then later in the game as well. And it's like, no, that's not a replay. I think it was the fourth inning. Happened again. So there was some bad luck there, but Padres better execution, better command, and they would have had a better shot at winning yesterday because they did score 4 runs. And usually when they score four more runs, just like around baseball, if you go, because Kevin Acee has written about this in his Padres Daily multiple times this year. If they score at least 4 runs, they're going to win the game the majority of the time. Yesterday was not one of those. You got to have the pitching be better than it was, specifically Kolek, be better than it was. But that's that's where the conversation goes when we talk about the pitching, right? Is you got Pavetta. Cease though has been unreliable. He hasn't been consistent enough. You don't know what you're getting out of Dylan Cease. You acquire Dylan Cease because you know what you're going to get. That hasn't been the case as much as it should be this season. They're getting you Darvish back tomorrow, so that's great news for Padres fans. Um, I'm very excited to see that tomorrow night because I have missed seeing Darvish pitch. Uh, it is interesting sometimes seeing Kolek and Kyle Hart and Waldron. These guys get called up, but we obviously all love to see Darvish pitch over those guys. And so even sure, like right now, there'll be question marks about Darvish because he's just coming back, but I would think that there won't be at some point. So let's say it's Pavetta and Darvish. Well, then there's still question marks with Cease, King. When is he going to come back? We don't know. And then after that, is it Waldron? Is it Kolek? Is it Vasquez? It is Vasquez, but other guys that could be in that fight there. There's just some question marks there. So that's where it's like, all right, bullpen, back into the bullpen, I'm confident in. Lineup, there's obviously the talent there. Rota- Rotation, excuse me, could get a little bit bumpy there. So if you're going to have a bumpy rotation in October, you're not going to be going too far. So that's my big area of concern. I know you could point to other, you know, parts of like the lineup and bats they should acquire, but starting pitching right now is my biggest concern at the moment. Um, Although they did win game one of this series in 10 innings, 3-2. Crony, have yourself a series, huh? With the walk off that he had, 4th of July, and then he homered yesterday, right, for the lead. I know they didn't win, but he did homer. And then today, coming through. He likes those July 4th weekend series. Remember 2023 against the Angels? Him and Bogey going back to back those homers, which was like the high. When I think back on 2023, something positive, that's what I think of. Um, which obviously I don't need to go back too much into 2023. Like that sucked. But yeah, hopefully Crony, he made some really good plays at second base, diving, potential game saving play in the first inning, bases loaded, diving play to end the inning. Don't want to forget about that. So, you know, if this could be the start for him of like outperforming at least our expectations probably going into this season, like that would be awesome because there are some guys that are underperforming right now, and Jackson Merrill's one of those. Um, Anything from those first two games? Vasquez went 6 innings, 2 earned runs. I think maybe is it unfair for me to put him in the question mark category still? Maybe it's a little bit unfair. Like he has a sub 4 ERA, which is what Nick Pavetta has. But still, sometimes there are starts where you just don't get the length that you want from him. So, like for example, 6 innings this last time, but the outing before that at Cincinnati, he didn't get through 5 innings. Outing before that, he went 7, but then the outing before that went 5. 4 and 2/3, 4 and 2/3, 3 1/3, 6 1/3. So it's just a little bit inconsistency there. Um, so I think it's still fair to put him in the question mark category for starting pitchers, but he's in the rotation for sure at the moment. Like he's not like a is he going to get sent down? There's no question about that. No, he's not. Um, I will get to the chat here in a little bit. Did want to shout out the great partners of the show though. Gaglione and Bros, famous cheesesteaks and garlic fries. Their main location is on Friars Road. Check them out. The link is going to be in the description. It's not currently on the YouTube side of things, those that are listening, watching live, because I can't put a description in right now at the moment. Don't know how to with this new software, but I will put it in at the end of this, and it will be obviously for those that are listening on the podcast because this is recorded. Duh. But yeah, they've got the full expanded menu on their Friars Road location. They're at Petco Park. They're inside Snapdragon Stadium. Rough week, rough weekend for SDFC with that loss there last night to Houston. But yes, inside Snapdragon Stadium on the east side. Yeah, east side of the stadium. And then down the third baseline, section 124, and then upper deck 319. Cheesesteak fries, garlic fries, great stuff there. Cheese fries. So check them out. And then if you are a fan of those basketball jerseys, the custom basketball jerseys, Freestyle Cut and Stitch, check them out. They're on Instagram. Just look up Freestyle Cut and Stitch. Their website, freestylecutandstitch.com. They've got the custom basketball jerseys. A lot of Padres players wear them batting practice. There's a bunch of pictures, obviously, online of these players in the clubhouse wearing them. If you want, you know, I've seen the Jackson Merrill 1998 style jersey, something like that. If that appeals to you and you don't want to spend $200 on a jersey, go to Freestyle Cut and Stitch. It is a local San Diegan who runs that company. Sean, great guy. So please support, again, a local San Diego brand. If you're more, this is a national brand, Breaking Tea, but if you're a shirt person, um, you can check them out as well. A little bit cheaper than any jerseys you're going to go find. Like 30, 40 bucks for a shirt. They've got great player graphic tees, Gavin Sheets, Fernando, Darvish, Manny, Merrill, a bunch of guys. And that's just the start of it. So click the link in the description for Breaking Tea, and you will find a bunch of Padres and San Diego sports shirts as well. And then the final one, SeatGeek, code Talking Friars, which is the same code, by the way, for Freestyle Cut and Stitch. If you want 10% off any future order, use that code Talking Friars. SeatGeek, code Talking Friars, $20 off your first order when you sign up with your email. All right, I did want to get to the three All Stars that were named for the Padres today. Well, two All Stars. Manny already a starter, Jason Adam, and then Fernando Tatis Jr. Jason Adam, very well deserved. The guy, after tonight, his ERA is down to 1.61 on the year. And you could make an argument that Adrian Morejon got snubbed, which I could easily make. Like that guy, he's one of the best left-handed relievers in the league. There are guys that have those ERAs that are in the All-Star game. And I know most non-ninth inning guys like don't even get to the All-Star game, so they weren't going to have two non-ninth inning guys from the same team make it. But if you just take away what his role is and you look at 40 innings, 43 games, he's got a whip of .80, 36, almost as many strikeouts as innings pitched, a 1.80 ERA. I mean, and also like the journey that he's taken with the injuries and it's a disappointing, international signing because the amount of money they invested in him, and then what he's doing this season. I think it's a great story. But obviously, that's me as a Padres fan that follows Adrian Morejon every night. And voters, players, media, whatever, like they don't follow Adrian Morejon every night. And probably some voters just went and looked at closers from teams and were like, "Who's the best three? I'm going to pick those three." If that's how, I don't even know how many relievers you can pick, but that's probably what most people, I would imagine, did. Um, but yeah, Jason Adam, very happy for him. There was a story on the broadcast that he was in church this morning when he got a call from Mike Schilt, and Jason Adams' wife, I think, thought that he was getting traded. During church, he goes and takes the call, and it's Schilt's telling him that he's going to the All Star game. That's a really cool moment, and um, it's cool because this was one of those AJ Preller moves where he gave up a lot. That was the Dylan Lesko trade, right? Lesko went. I think Snelling went in that deal. That's a lot to give up, and it pays off. Obviously, you want it to pay off in the postseason, but like he'll be there too. But to have an All Star appearance with it, like that's pretty cool. I haven't heard anything about Dylan Lesko. I haven't heard anything about Robbie Snelling since I've obviously heard about James Wood and even Hassel and Abrams, right? I haven't heard about those guys. I don't know what's going on with those guys. So for a team that's trying to win right now, this Jason Adam deal, like I think it's another one that you put in that win category. And prospects are prospects for a reason. You know, Tatis, him making it to the All Star game, that one was more debatable for sure. As much as I don't like saying it, Andy Pages certainly had a case. I think Seiya Suzuki with the Cubs had a case. I think he leads the National League in RBIs. I think that's what the ESPN broadcast said on the selection show today. And Tatis, like, if you were to ask Padres fans if he deserved to be an All-Star, based on social media reaction, like, they'd say no. Are we happy for him? Do we love him? Yeah, but this is not Tatis's best season. And I think a lot of people would say Tatis is slumping and he's struggling. I think he's turning a corner and it's getting better. But no, he's not an all-star. But when it's, coaching staff, whoever fills this out, media, players that vote, they see Tatis and they're like, yeah, he's an all-star. Are they going to say that about Andy Pages? These players that aren't watching Andy Pages play every night? but they know the Tatis name. They've seen Tatis highlights. They know that he's an all-star previously. So that's where, being that big name, I think it is it's something that is in the favor. It really helps Tatis out making the All-Star game. Should he be in the home run derby? I'd be fine with it. Like, I feel like he needs to just let it out and just go eat, if that makes sense. Like, just go swing. Um, this isn't a situation where like he is in the NL MVP conversation and it's like, don't mess up your swing. You don't want him to get hurt during the home run derby, but I don't think that would happen. Go do it. He's got Acuna in it. I think he probably would have a lot of fun doing it. And so I'd be fine with it. I wouldn't be fine with it every year, but I feel like this year is a pretty good year for him to do it. I'd be fine with it. And I want him to do it once. As a Padre fan, I think that would be cool to watch him do it at least once. But yeah, like this year so far, um, after today, the OPS, it's under 800, 15 homers, 261 average, a 355 on base. I saw Soto didn't make the All Star game as well. Let me look up Soto's numbers. I saw people were pissed that Corbin Carroll made it and Soto didn't. Like Soto, this guy has a 915 OPS entering today because this is baseball reference. A 915 OPS, a 162 OPS plus. He's got 21 homers, 51 runs driven in, and he doesn't make the All Star game. But Tatis did. 3.8 WAR for Soto. I think Tatis is around 3.1 entering today. 3.6. Obviously, Tatis brings like the whole package, and Soto doesn't bring the whole package. But it is interesting some of the votes that happened. I'm still happy for Tatis for sure, but I I'm always honest with you guys, and I can't sit here and be like, yeah, Tatis fully deserves and slam dunk All Star. You know, just I I don't see it that way. All right, let's finish the show off going to the chat. We've got the D-backs coming up next. And so it's Darvish. Let's see if there's the probables out yet. Darvish on Monday. D-backs, how are they doing? 44 and 46. So, oh wow, what a matchup tomorrow night. Get your popcorn ready. Zach Gallen and Yu Darvish. Tuesday, Merrill Kelly. Don't know about us yet. And then Wednesday, Brandon Pfaadt. So we got their best starters going. Great. Gallen, Kelly, and Pfaadt. And it's actually a 4-game set, sorry. And they've got Eduardo Rodriguez going in game 4. So all 640 games. So, yeah, that's probably going to be a tough one. And then the Phillies to close it out. And we're probably going to get Wheeler one of those games. All right, finishing it out with the chat here. Thank you all for being here, whether you're live or you're watching, listening on replay, podcast platforms. Much appreciated here on this Sunday night. Padres take 2 out of 3. They are now 48 and 41, second in the National League West. They are in the wild card picture, obviously, as we are in the month that the trade deadline happens. You see, Mike Rizzo got fired today, president of baseball ops with the Nats, and Dave Martinez, Nats manager, he got fired. That would have been interesting if you had it on your bingo card that Mike Rizzo and Dave Martinez would be fired, and the Padres would have traded Juan Soto before he was a free agent. Because if they trade Juan Soto before he's a free agent, it's like, oh man, this isn't working financially, all that. And you also add into that James Wood is going to be an all-star and I feel like one of the big stars already in the game. and those guys get fired, and Preller still has his job. And I'm not saying he shouldn't. I'm just saying he has his job. They don't. Wood's an all-star though. Soto got traded before he had his whole contract up, that Nats contract with the Pods. It's just interesting how all three of these things played out. Well, four if you include Preller having his job still. All right, let's see here. It is interesting the timing too with the Nats, by the way. I know it's not talking Nats, but the draft's in like a week, and Mike Rizzo's known for scouting. Like that's his background. Padres should swoop him up. Do I think Arai should stay in the four hole? I'm fine with it, yeah, because you got guys that can get on base in front of him and talk about hitting with runners in scoring position. I'm fine with Arai doing that, yeah. Ben, you weren't even born in 1998. Yeah, that's accurate, but all I was saying was they were showing the 98 uniforms on the broadcast. Sheet should be the starting left fielder. I mean, he pretty much is, right? He's been playing left the majority of the time. I did see this too, like people saying that Sheets was snubbed, but like for me, while I can back Gavin Sheets, I also understand it. Like they're not going to have Gavin Sheets be in the All Star game over Tatis, over Corbin Carroll, guys like that, when he was a part time DH during this, unofficial first half of the season. And the DH obviously gets taken by Otani. So I understand it. David asked Ben, how do you feel about the Padres maybe trading for a first baseman or second baseman at the deadline? The ESPN broadcast mentioned it, and I thought it was interesting. Yeah, Alden Gonzalez was the reporter today during the game, and he mentioned second base, possibly a second baseman. And I'm like, what? Crony plays good defensively at second base, and you're going to move him back to first, and you're going to have a rise DH, Sheets in left, and you're going to get a right-handed hitting second baseman, or is it would be a left? Would it be a left-handed hitting second baseman? Um, I would rather just stick with Crony at second base. I'm fine with him at second base. I saw Nightingale in his notebook today. Said the Padres were looking for the right-handed hitting bat, but Jaron Duran still makes the most sense. And it's like Bob, he hits left-handed. So yeah, I don't know. I don't really see Duran being a Padre before the deadline at this point in time, but Padres are not scared to deal their prospects, according to Nightingale, whatever that's worth, which might not be much to you guys, I know, because he does get some stuff wrong. Ray says, I was looking at our schedule, and LA's through when we meet in August. LA is tough. LA's schedule is tough, but we're not so bad. If we don't catch LA by our next series with them, we won't win the West, and wild card is our only chance. I don't think we're going to win the West anyway. I'm not even focused on that. So, yeah. Wild card being our only chance, okay. We got three spots there. Just play good baseball, get in, be playing good baseball at the end of the season, and take your chances. Hopefully, they upgrade the team before the deadline. And yeah, is AJ next to go? I don't think he's going anywhere. Would Schultz stay if AJ goes? It would be a little weird for if AJ would be fired for the Padres to make the GM that comes in keep Schilt as the manager when that's not their guy. And that probably would mean that like Schilt's gone probably after that first year then anyway, because GMs like to hire their guy. That's And that's what it is in sports, is they want their guy in there. When someone, whatever sport really it is, like they come in, they want their people, and sometimes the people that are already there, like, love that team and they know what they're doing and they should stay. But those people that come in, they have prior relationships, they trust those people, and they want to do it that way. And so that's what happens. Alrighty, that's going to do it. Talking Friars here. Thank you all for the time. Padres, Rangers series recap a little bit there. Tatis, Adam, and Manny, all All Stars. Manny obviously already hit on, when that happened, I think. Well deserved. One of the best third basemen. Will go down as one of the best third basemen to ever play the game. He will get to hit number 2,000, I would imagine. That would be pretty embarrassing if he didn't by the All Star break. Hopefully it happens, coming up tomorrow night. Although it'll be tough with Zach Gallen on the mound, but at some point during this D-back series, and I'm pumped. Uh, those listening to the podcast, you can't see, but I'm smiling here because just the thought of being able to see Darvish pitch tomorrow night, I'm already excited about it. So can't wait for then. Gonna go to sleep and so that we can have it be tomorrow and have it be Darvish Day.